following show is for comedy only and is purely for the sake of entertainment. The stories, characters, and people affiliated with this show talk about hypothetical situations for laughs. Listener discretion advised.
San Quentin, what good do you think you do? Do you think I'll be different when you're through? You bend my heart and mind and you warp my soul. Your stone walls turn my blood a little cold. San Quentin, may you rot and burn in hell.
So I'm here with the brilliant Josh Smith. Is it Josh or Joshua? What do you prefer?
Either one's fine with me, man. Most people call me Joshua. That's what my mom named me, but I go by whatever anybody wants to call me. I don't care.
Okay. Well, Joshua, you got some problems lately, man. What's going on?
Oh man, it's not really lately. It's something that's been kind of going on for like 4 or 5 years. When I decided I was going to try and be the chair of the Libertarian Party, you think that the enemies of the Libertarian Party are going to be the Republicans or the Democrats or maybe even some of the Greens, and obviously like tankies and commies and stuff like that. And then you get going and you realize your biggest enemies are other libertarians, right? There are other people in the party. And there was people who saw that I was becoming successful as like a no-name person, right? I'm just a blue-collar working class maintenance guy from the West Coast, and I was making a name for myself. I traveled to 24 states in 2018 while I was running for chairman. I shook hands all over the country, and I was doing really well. And these people didn't like that. They didn't want to see me as the next chair. So instead of attacking my policies or the things that I wanted to do with the party, they immediately started trying to make it all about personal stuff. And I could pinpoint when it happened. In 2018, I was running against Nicholas Sarwark, obviously, who was the incumbent chair, and then another woman named Alicia Dern. And if you're not familiar with Dern, she ran for vice president in 2016 to try and get the nomination with the Libertarian Party. She actually was going to be Austin Peterson's running mate. And she made some backroom deals and stepped down and endorsed Bill Weld. So she kind of pushed Bill Weld on the party. And there was a bunch of other shady things. People called her Derncoat and this and that and this and that. Well, her and her little team had come to me and they're like, hey, we want to work with you on taking Nicholas Sarwark out. And I'm like, look, I'm running a clean campaign by myself. I'm doing really well. I don't think I want to work with another chair candidate against another chair candidate, And then they were kind of upset about that. And then they came to me again a couple weeks later, and they explicitly told me, hey, we want to start a Me Too movement within the Libertarian Party to kind of root out some, sexual predators or whatever. And I was like, I don't really know any sexual predators in the Libertarian Party. I don't think that's something I want to be a part of. I feel like some things can get dragged in that may not be true here and there. And I just don't want to be a part of anything that I'm not personally a part of. And they got really mad at me. And then 2 weeks later, I get a text message from Alicia Dern's manager. I'm in Texas at the state convention there speaking, and I get a message from her campaign manager. Hey, some stuff coming out that you did something to a woman at a state convention in Washington, at your home state convention. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's just not, this isn't something that happened. And they tried to like run their whole campaign against me. And fortunately enough, I had some text messages and a lot of like proof that what they were saying was lies. And so I actually ended up putting out an article responding to these allegations. And I dropped all these screenshots of text messages and stuff. And I just totally BTFO'd them, right? Into the ground, to the point where it was like, you guys have nothing else to argue. And they had to issue public apologies. And in fact, the publication that I went through when I put out that statement was also where they had to put their public apologies. So that was kind of like where it started, where these people started kind of attacking me personally. And their little group of people grew, and they had like some secret Facebook pages where they would conspire to try and take me down. And, they started digging into my life and I've been through the family law system. I have 2 kids. I had 2 kids. I have 3 now. My girlfriend and I had a very healthy young man on New Year's Eve, and they started going after, my situation with family law, and it culminated all the way through my campaign in 2020, where they actually reached out to my daughter, my 16-year-old daughter, and started bribing her with things. She was in this really bad situation. I was trying to get custody. And she was like basically essentially living in a car with her 2 siblings and a mother who was kind of not really there and out doing, you know, drugs and this and that. And they reached out to her and started bribing her with money and a phone to like make a statement against me. And she did. And fortunately enough for me, I was able to get custody in October. So like 3 months after the convention. But I mean, these people are disgusting, horrible, vile people in our own party. And they know that should I become chair, I'm going to grow the party with people that they don't like. And so they've done everything they can to try and attack me and anybody like me, people like Dave Smith. And I mean, there's so much more to this, but you know, they're these blue-pilled libertarians that, you know, they kind of fall in justice to this SJW woke Olympics style libertarianism that really takes away from the fact that all these problems that people face in the United States today, they face because of the government that they keep asking for more of. And
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you know, that's kind of where I'm at now. We got this Richie Castaldo asshole running around online calling me a sexual predator with absolutely no proof. I mean, that's not even an allegation that I've ever dealt with before. And he's coming out of the blue saying this. And so what do? We dig into his past and find out that he's actually been arrested and convicted for lewd acts in front of a minor, you know, and he tried to give this story that, well, I leave my windows open because, you know, there's trees outside my windows and this, you know, minor was peeping into my window and lurking into my window. It's like, no,
Right,
you don't
right.
get arrested and charged and convicted for other people going in your window. You did this purposely knowing that you had a minor watching you, and that's why you were arrested and convicted. And so you know, it's funny, the projection from him, and then you know, this is the same old crowd of people that have been trying to tarnish my name. But the problem is they haven't just tarnished my name politically. I mean, they've really tried to go after me to a point where it's affected my family life, it's affected my career, stuff like that. And it's like this isn't about politics anymore. This is a personal thing, and you guys have done this for long enough. And now, you fucking nerds, I'm coming for you. You know what I mean? And then of course there's other libertarians that are like, oh no, you can't do it that way. You're not allowed to do it that way. And I'm like, okay, give me another option. Show me the other option. What is it? Just let them keep doing it until I lose my job, until my girlfriend leaves me, until I lose my kids. What am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Am I just supposed to walk away from the mission that I've been on for the last 5 years of growing the liberty movement? No, fuck you. I'm gonna come. It's war, right? Like in the words of Breitbart, fucking war. You know. And so if you guys want to keep attacking me, you want to keep coming at me, well, fuck it, let's do it. You know. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. It's not. I'm not going to, you know, just keep taking it on the chin. I'm going to fight back. And if you have a problem with that and you want to defend these horrible, vile people, then fuck you too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I saw that tweet today. We at least for me, I just got into Twitter when I got zucked from Instagram. I think it was like sometime in November or something. So I was very unfamiliar, I think, with a lot of other members of the liberty community who are unfamiliar with this blue pill, I don't know, disease. Is that I mean, I don't know if that's a bit too harsh.
It's definitely a tumor on the liberty movement for sure. There's no doubt about that.
And so for me, my first exposure was Archie, and he was going after Dave Smith, building his case, saying he was racist. And then it just ramped up from there, and until finally we're here with you, suing several people. I don't remember the exact people. Cato, did you find that list of people?
I've not yet, no.
Okay. I mean, I can name these people. We're talking like Risa Willis, who I dated briefly for 2 months, and then she went on a 3-year tirade trying to tell everyone that I was abusive. But there's no proof of that. In fact, the police showed up the night that's in question, and you know, gingerly gave me a ride to a hotel because I didn't want to press charges. I mean, the cops don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, right. if you're abusive and beating up a woman, they're going to arrest you. Especially this was in Dallas, Texas. I mean, come on. And Angela Fisher Owens and Ethan Owens. Angela Fisher Owens was Alicia Derncoat's campaign manager in 2018. She was the one that kind of really started all this. She was kind of the head of all this stuff, and she's also the one that like personally reached out to my children. My current girlfriend. We had a little spat for about 3 weeks back in June maybe, or a little bit before, and they actually reached out to her and tried to get her to leave me while she was pregnant, so that they had a story to spin that I was abandoning my pregnant girlfriend, which is bullshit. And We got Richie Castaldo, obviously. There's also Christopher Alderson, who runs the Leading Liberty page on Twitter and Facebook. He's a complete spurg and piece of shit. And he's really spread a lot of these rumors around too. And so there's a good list of people out there. And at some point, they're all going to have to, face the consequences of their actions. You don't run around trying to spin rumors about people the way they do and just expect to keep going.
Right. The big one I've seen recently, I mean, obviously, Richie Castaldo, like what's the history there with him?
So the funny thing about Richie is he was running for Congress in 2018, and he reached out to me. He's like, hey, he was a member of the Mises Caucus, and he reached out to me. He's like, hey man, yeah. He reached out to me and he's like, hey man, do you think you could endorse my campaign? And I went and read his stuff. He was pro-life. He was, he was very Mises based. I mean, really, his thing was pretty Mises based, and so I was like, yeah, dude, I'd love to endorse you. And I was doing like these weekly endorsements for candidates while I was running for chair. And so I put out a nice endorsement of him. I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. I couldn't remember if I had met him at the Oklahoma State Convention or not. I've since found out that he wasn't there. Sometime in 2000, it was before this last presidential election, probably 2019. He was in the Mises group, and he started really simping for Bill Weld in the group. He's like, we really need to give Bill Weld a chance and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, hey, dude, this caucus was started in like direct defiance of Bill Weld and the blue-pilled libertarians. Like, that's why this caucus exists. You know what I mean? After the 2016 election, a bunch of libertarians were like, we can't let the libertarian divulge into this crap anymore, And so he kept doing it, kept posting about Bill Weld in the group. And finally they were like, all right, that's it. Goodbye. And they kicked him out. Okay. And it's like, what did you expect? And he immediately went on this tirade against the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus and me. And like, I had tried to talk, I'm a pretty reasonable guy, until you make me fucking unreasonable, then I'm unreasonable. But I'm pretty reasonable. And I had tried to reach out to Richie and be like, dude, what's going on? Chill out. This caucus doesn't care about Bill Weld. In fact, they want the party to be less like Bill Weld. Like, that's the whole point. And then all of a sudden he started calling me a racist and shit. And I'm like, dude, first of all, you're calling a half Israeli guy a Nazi. I mean, don't you think that's a little ridiculous, And he kept going. And then he disappeared for a while. And then he'd pop up on like random posts of mine just talking shit. And, I kind of really never gave it any credence until the last couple months where he started actually calling me a sexual predator, and a financial predator. I've been working since I was 9 years old. I had 2 paper routes when I was 9 years old. I was on the cover of the newspaper in my hometown for being like the youngest kid with dual paper routes. I've been working my whole life. What kind of financial terror, financial predator do you think I am? And show me one even allegation of sexual abuse whatsoever outside of some woman falsely saying that I made some comments to her at a state convention, which has already been completely proven false to the point where they had to actually issue a public apology. I'd love to see any of that evidence at all. In fact, I put out on my Twitter last night, I'll pay anybody $100 if they can find the woman that he's talking about from the Oklahoma State Convention in 2018 that said I was grabbing her butt. Please, I will give you $100 if you can find that woman right now. She has to be on the sign-in sheet from the convention, and I'll give you $100 because she doesn't exist.
The convention that the LP chair himself said, like, yeah, I don't know who this guy is, and I don't remember him being there.
Well, that was actually that was the past state chair of Oklahoma. Her name is Erin Adams. That's a woman, by the way, and she's one of my best friends. And we spent almost that whole day side by side. I mean, legitimately, and I actually chaired that convention. I actually officiated that convention. I showed up to the Oklahoma State Convention. And I was standing outside by Adam Kokesh's bus. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. No one was even there yet. And, of course I'm wearing a suit and tie and stuff because I'm campaigning for chair. And Erin Adams runs out of the building. She goes, hey, you're going to chair this convention. I was like, I've never chaired a convention before. You know what I mean? It's not easy. There's rules. You have to follow these Robert's Rules of Order, and there's a process, and you have to do everything the correct way. And I understood it. I had been reading Roberts. I had been to some conventions, but I had never actually officiated at a convention before. And she's like, listen, man, because I was like, I don't know if I can do that. She's like, listen, man, do you want to be the fucking chair of this party or not? And I was like, well, yeah. And she's like, then you get your ass in there and you chair this convention. And I was like, okay, cool. And so the funny thing is, like, Oh, it was a kicking ass. I had to tie my tie up. So I spent the entire convention in front of the room. In front of the room. Everybody saw me there. Literally everybody that was at the convention was watching and listening to me. And
Wow.
this one guy is saying that I was grabbing somebody's ass. No, that didn't happen. Cool. A side note, as well as there was 3 censure motions brought up that I presided over. One of them was of Joe Exotic, the Tiger King, which passed unanimously to censure Joe Exotic during his gubernatorial race in Oklahoma. So I actually presided over the censure of the Tiger King. And Netflix never reached out to me. I don't know why, but
you don't seem better.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll be okay. I'm not jealous at all. But yeah,
but there's plenty of witnesses. There's plenty of witnesses to say
there was 200 people watching me from their chairs. I mean, the whole day. And then at the end, there was a dinner, right? And I was actually the speaker at the dinner. So I spoke in front of the entire people during dinner. And he says that I was holding a beer in one hand. I never even had a beer at that convention. In fact, I brought a fireball party bucket, the bucket with all the little bottles.
Yeah, badass.
For all the people to drink. I never even had a beer. So he's lying about my drink of choice. He's lying about my actions. I mean, the guy doesn't make any sense. And anytime you ask him for proof on Twitter, he blocks you. So,
and he calls you an idiot, and he says, I provided proof. You're just too stupid to see it. I mean, hell, his personal friends, this part was funny for me. His personal friends have reached out to him publicly and said, hey, man, you should cool it. You're not really providing any evidence, and this is getting in some legal gray area. And I think one of the quotes was, fuck off, I don't need you. Like,
right.
Wow.
Oh, he's gone far beyond. He's gone far beyond gray area. That's what he doesn't understand is, it is really hard to prove a defamation case until you've made it very clear that you don't care about the truth and you're doing it with malicious intent. And he's made it very clear. I mean, I have plenty of screenshots. He's made it very clear that he doesn't care about the truth. And he's doing it with malicious intent. I mean, it would be an open and shut libel case.
Absolutely. You mind reading us some of those? We tried to look it up, and the account that I went on that recently got deleted.
I'll read you a couple of my favorites here. Let's see. My screenshot.
Rip Pete Quinones, by the way, his account got deleted again. That's what we were going to go off of.
Yeah, that sucks, man. He's such a cool guy too. I wish that.
Yeah.
They just leave Pete Quinones alone.
Yeah.
This is the meme about the convention. I've witnessed Josh feeling up a lady's ass at the Oklahoma convention. She kept walking away, and he would meander over to her again, put his hand on her waist, and work his way down while holding a beer in his other hand. She was scared. And then the funny thing was, I texted right after that is when I texted the state chair, and let's see, I said, I sent her the screenshot. I said, "Do you remember this? I feel like I would remember this." She's like, I don't know. We were together most of the time. Or she's like, I don't. And we were together most of the time. So I said, seems weird. She's all, I don't even think he was at the convention. I said, in 2018, I thought he was. She said, he might have been for a minute in 2018, but I don't remember him ever being at any convention. In fact, he didn't sign the sign-up sheet, so he wasn't there.
Damn. So, I mean, if according to his story, you felt of a woman, but basically you're around this person, your friend, the entire time. So it would have been her, but you didn't, and she's like, I don't know what's going on, and I don't know why this guy is talking. So, yeah. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry.
Oh, yeah. And there's so many more, too. Like, it's infuriating when friends fall for their BS, but it's really entertaining to watch the Mises crowd of Dave and Josh Smith lose their minds when we call out their racism and bigotry. Every time they belittle women or excuse Josh's sexual and financial predatory lifestyle, every time they comprise with build the wall racists because they want to virtue signal about being anti-war instead of being principled in both issues. Oh my God. It's quite clear.
I forgot how this all started.
Oh, yeah, it's quite clearly stated he's a racist dumbass. Character matters. You can virtue signal all you want about ending the wars, but you're just a keyboard warrior. I've done the work. I've ran for office. I've been out in the cold protesting. I've been overseas. I mean, he goes on and on and on about us being racist and I'm a sexual predator. How does calling out Josh as a predator equate to being a neocon? What? Like, and it just doesn't make any sense. Let's see.
Because
Here's a
because he said that he would rather back a president who would continue the wars, slaughtering children in the Middle East, rather than fucking that's how this all started.
So, yeah,
That's why you're a fucking neocon, dude.
Yeah, he'd rather have a president that would continue slaughtering people in the Middle East than have a president that doesn't want his daughter to date outside of her race, which is just hilarious to me. Because first of all, which race was not even used in this hypothetical, right? And I'll take a guy that wants his daughter to date inside her own race over a guy that wants to continue wars in the Middle East any day of the week and twice on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. And I'm not a racist person. If you think I'm a racist, fuck you. But I am saying that I would rather have somebody who doesn't want his daughter to date outside of their race than somebody who's going to continue to kill countless innocents in the Middle East. Absolutely, 100%, without question. I would not have had to hesitate on that question. You have to be a neocon to hesitate on that question,
I mean, you can even break this hypothetical down, like, just for a fucking thought, like what is it? A thought experiment. One, that guy doesn't own his daughter, so like, yeah, if that's your preference, she could still say fuck you and date and marry outside her race. Like, who cares? Number two, it is a like his defense was, well, if he's racist, he's probably going to continue the wars. That's not what the hypothetical said. The hypothetical said he will end the wars, but this is his preference, versus I will continue the wars in the Middle East, but I'm not racist. Pinky swear. Like, dude, seriously. One, it's a hypothetical. Like, this is the parameters of the hypothetical. Two, you're seriously saying that you want to stop the war, or you want to continue the wars in the Middle East? Like, and virtue signal? Like, for no reason? That's the whole thing behind the Libertarian Party and the fucking wars. Like, that is the whole, like, that is, like, on the docket number one, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, it should be, but the blue pill libertarians, they don't even talk about the wars almost at all. I mean, it's always some social justice woke fucking Olympics, as opposed to, hey, the Federal Reserve and endless wars and the drug wars, what's causing this shit? You know what I mean? Like, this talk about fucking zoning laws, okay? You know what I mean? Like, talk about anything other than, social justice, fucking egalitarianism. Like, none of that exists, dude. It's the government that's creating these issues, and it has been since our inception as a country. And you're completely forgetting about all those things to join some social justice Olympics, right? The wars are killing brown people overseas all the time, way more than the police are killing people here in the United States. I mean, I'm not saying that's not an issue; it's still an issue, but it's the biggest. If you want to talk about social justice, the biggest pressing social justice issue in our time is constant endless war overseas. And the Federal Reserve, creating this inflation and making it, taking away, you want to talk about the black community's purchasing power, point to the Federal Reserve, point to the disease itself, not just the symptoms. And I think that they've forgotten about that. They've become so blue pilled that they have forgotten about that. And it's really kind of a stain on libertarianism. It's really kind of, making people think that we're something we're not. And that's one of the reasons why they hate us, because we're trying to bring it back to what it actually is, And so, but yeah, and these people, they work like leftists. They attack you personally instead of policy wise, and they have no understanding or care of what that's going to do to your actual life. So
I heard I don't remember if I either read it or I heard it, but I saw a great quote regardless of where from, and it was that these blue pill minded people, that the Libertarian Party was their social club that they could go to and virtue signal, like, we're even more open-minded and woke than the Democrats. And now that social club is being threatened with actual change agents. And so that's why they're attacking so hard. But again,
sure. And I've talked about it a lot. The thing is the Libertarian Party, it's such a small pond. We have 20,000 national members. I mean, people know, like, national members all over the country, right? And you see them online, and their voices are really big. I mean, they're essentially these big fish in a really small pond, and they have these platforms. But if you dilute that, right? If you bring in another 20,000 libertarians to the party, it makes that pond so much bigger that their voices get smaller. It's like the Republicans. The Republicans have a lot of the same problems as the Libertarians as far as intra-party bullshit, but their party's so big that there's no way you could hear about it all, right? Like the Clark County, Washington GOP chair was siphoning money from the GOP party into his personal bank account, right? Nobody knows that. Nobody knows that happened because the party's so big that, you know, what's happening in Washington in some county party is not going to be heard about in Maine or Connecticut, right? But in the Libertarian Party, we hear about that shit. We know what's going on all the time because it's so small. And these people love that they have this big voice. They feel famous. You know, they feel like they're famous people, and you take that platform from them by making the party bigger, and you know, and at the end of the day, they realize they're probably just nerds who don't have a lot of influence on the direction of the libertarian movement, and they don't want to be faced with that fact. So they're gonna fight real hard to keep that platform big for themselves. And you know, it's really sad because this party could be like the number one driving force politically for freedom and the ideals of liberty, and they would rather sacrifice that for their own platforms than to actually make a difference and make a change. And
I mean,
that's
I'm
where
not
we
gonna
come
lie.
in. And
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought that the LP was like a total fucking joke up until a couple weeks ago. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago. I don't know. I talked to Pete. Speaking of Pete, I talked to Pete and he had convinced me to join. And Cato, did you join? I don't remember if you joined or not.
Message Caucus, yes.
Okay, yeah. So like, you know, I thought like I think we both thought it was a complete fucking joke until we saw, you know, what the Mises Caucus was doing and wanted to provide principled and radical messaging to the party. I mean, it was just very weak and like, I don't know. I always thought that it was kind of an advertisement, and then once people were sucked into like a diluted messaging from the party, then, you know, the community, the liberty community, not the party, could take them and like, hey, this is a better way, here you go. But like, you know, now that there's principle minded people taking over the party, I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to change anything, but it'll definitely make us more it'll help with recruitment. I mean, I don't know.
no, and I agree. You know, I think that principles matter. I think philosophy matters. I think activism matters, and you know, if you're going to stifle all that stuff in hopes of political relevance, you're going to lose. You know, and the Libertarian Party has shown that for the last I don't know, decade. You know,
Yeah.
You're going to lose. You're going to keep losing, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. You don't sacrifice your principles for political outcome because they already have two big parties like that. They have the Republicans and the Democrats who don't care about principles, who only care about winning, who have become such tribalistic chess beating team sport participants that they can't even call out their own politicians' bullshit anymore because they just don't care. And we're the one alternative to that. We're the alternative that says, hey, we're principled. We're always going to be principled. We're always going to take a stand against the overreach of the omnipotent state, you know, and you know, you kind of get into the weeds when you stop doing that. And it's like, who are we? You know, what image do we reflect? And that's what you hear a lot around the country is you guys are a joke. And it's true. As long as we're, you know, forcing principle down in the hopes of political relevance, we are a joke. And that's absolutely the truth. It's hard to hear. It's especially hard to hear from a guy like me who's, you know, put so much into the movement, put so much into the party, and traveled, you know, to 40 states over the last 4 years, and sacrificed a lot of my personal life to try and grow the movement. It hurts to hear, but there's a lot of good people that are coming in that feel the same way as me, and it's exciting to see. And I hope that, you know, at the end of the day, we're gonna make the difference that we're trying to make.
Do you think that as you guys grow, that the blue pills will get more aggressive?
Oh yeah, and they have, you know, over the last 4 years, they have. I mean, that's, you know, they've gone from scoffing to fighting, and you know, the next step is winning. I mean, that's really it. You know, first they you know, ignore you, then they fight you, and then you win. And they know that their time's up. They know that they've had this party for long enough. They know that they were unsuccessful, and they see that we can be successful, and it scares them. So Yeah, I mean, we're all going to be racist. We're all going to be Nazis. They're going to find ways to call all kinds of people, all kinds of stuff until they are insignificant. And that's what's coming. That's the end goal, is you're going to be so insignificant that all of your constant flailing no longer matters.
So, what do you call a win? When do you declare victory?
I think a win for us is going to look like we got rid of the embarrassing party leadership members. I really, I think that this all starts with party leadership. Nick Sarwark trashing Tom Woods. Yeah, he was trashing Tom Woods, trashing Dave Smith, trashing Ron Paul. I mean, these are our political heroes. These are our ideological heroes. These, I understand that hero worship is not cool, but these are the people who have laid the blueprint, the groundwork for what we're trying to accomplish, and you're attacking those people. Fuck you, war, right? Like that's where we're going. Yeah. And when I started running in 2018 for chair, that was a direct result of that. I didn't want to see a chairman of this party attacking these big name libertarians that have laid the ideological groundwork for what we're trying to do politically. And so, Joe is a nice guy, the current chair, Joe Bishop Hinchman, but he's still very blue pilled. He's still very in line with that pragmatic, let's sacrifice principle for political expediency type of thinking. And I refuse to deal with that. So when we get that out of there and we have a chairman and we have a board that is geared heavy towards being principled and using that for political expediency, that's when I'll start to understand our success more. And then, obviously to me as a party guy, I want to see us win elections, but I think we do that by having a party that people are proud to run under, and so it all starts with the party leadership. And I think, there's a few states that need the same thing. The Nevada State Party for sure needs some help. If you're in Nevada and you're a hardcore libertarian, please get a hold of the Nevada Mises Caucus. They need all the help they can get. But yeah, I think that changing party leadership to a more libertarian-minded board is when our wins will really start happening.
I mean, do you think that the government would allow us to win? I mean, let's be honest. It's a rigged game,
No, they're not going to allow us to win, and that's why we have to grow. There's so many more libertarians in this country than what the party represents. I think at some point we can get big enough to where the government can no longer stifle us. I think the media will have to stop blacklisting us, and that's when things can start to change. But it's a slow increase, and if we just scoff at it all the time and don't do it, nothing's ever going to change, anyways. And so for me, I want to see that change happen politically. I want to see that. I want to see the cathedral beat to hell. I think. A lot of people don't understand that it's not just the politicians, it's the media, it's big tech, corporate tech people. It's right. A lot of these people are working in unison together. That's what we call it, the cathedral. They're working in unison together to keep their own way of life safe. And I think that we have to make them uncomfortable at all costs. And I think we can do that on the political stage. It's just going to take a lot more help than what we have now.
I mean, we're seeing them uncomfortable now. I'm afraid to see them afraid. I mean, we have people getting deplatformed left and right. We see people getting arrested for jokes and for memes, and we're seeing people. I mean, I know that a lot of people from the community were going around protecting businesses and protecting protesters from police this past summer, and we're seeing them getting arrested now. I'm nervous to see how the cathedral reacts to the Libertarian Party getting actual power and gaining actual traction. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll get ugly for a while, for sure. I think, and we already know that there's no length that the cathedral won't go to try and stop you. I mean, we're sure that means murder and whatever else, they're not afraid to do that kind of stuff. So it's going to take some big voices standing up and going against that kind of stuff. And, I'm not afraid to do it. I know people like Dave Smith isn't afraid to do it. Scott Horton. And I think that, with the right leaders and the right movement behind you, they're not going to be able to stop us. I really believe that. And,
you're going to try to run again as chair?
I am. I announced about 2 months ago that I'm running again. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. So that's
Yeah.
when is the next chair election?
That will be at the National Convention in 2022, July of 2022, at
Okay.
the Golden Nugget in Reno, Nevada. So it's going to be a blast. It's going to be probably a really fun national convention in Reno, which is kind of like small, dirty Vegas. I call it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
Who are you
so
going
so
against? Are you going against
uh,
I think Angela, what's her name? Angela
Yeah,
Merkel?
Angela McArdle is also from the
McArdle.
caucus. We're both Mises caucus people, and then Joe Bishop Hinchman has not yet stated that he's going to run again. I imagine that he may, but I think that there's a couple other people I got my eye on that I think may step up and run too that we don't want to win. But definitely, me and Angela are the only ones that have announced, and we're both Mises caucus people, so that's going to be interesting.
Do you think
But I
that'll
love
hurt your
Angela.
chances?
I mean, it does, the chair election is multi-round voting. So if no candidate gets over 50% on the first ballot, it goes to a second ballot, and the lowest vote getter drops off. So, I mean, regardless, it's not going to hurt us one way or the other. One of us, say Joe Bishop Hinchman gets 20% and I get 25% and Angela gets 30 something percent, or then Joe would drop off and it'd just be heads up between me and Angela, which is fine. I mean, that's perfect for me. If me or Angela are the chair of the party, I'll be happy either way. So
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Let's go back to that lawsuit. I didn't know you were getting some heat for that lawsuit.
oh yeah. There's been quite. I mean, they're mostly only haters to people who already had a lot of bad stuff to say about me, anyways. Well, Murray Rothbard said that you can't sue people for defamation, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I love Murray. Murray's one of the reasons I'm a libertarian, but it's not like I agree with 100% of every single thing he's ever said, and I gotta work within the legal bounds of the system that I'm presented with currently, and so that's what I'm gonna do. You know.
Right. I tweeted out earlier that in a perfect world in the society that we want, that man he dishonored you. He threatened your honor, and you in a perfect world, you should duel him, and someone ends up dead or they or injured. Uh,
Yeah.
and then you walk away, and that's that. But if you do that now, you'll have police at your door because you can't get away with that shit. I mean, unless you have connections, but you can't get away with that shit these days. So you have to work within the boundaries of a hostile environment that we all live in right now. So I mean, I
Right.
don't understand I get living by principles, but I don't get everything has to be in the boundaries of philosophical principle.
Right.
Like the world is not going to cave in to your principles, so you have to kind of I don't know, adjust and press on. I don't know what do you think? I don't get
I
those
agree.
people.
I think that sometimes we have to work within the bounds of what we're given, and I try to stay as principled as I can in my day-to-day life, but I pay taxes too. You know what I mean? Because I want to own shit. I want to buy a house for my 6 kids and buy cars and do things that normal people do. It's like when we're talking about agorism. I respect and envy greatly people who are able to live a completely agorist lifestyle. I can't. I have kids. I have responsibilities that I can't attain through just completely opting out of the tax system, right? So I have to do what I have to do to live within the certain bounds of current society. And when somebody's threatening my livelihood, when somebody's threatening my family relationships and my personal relationships, threatening my goals and dreams and aspirations as a person, and the only two options I'm given are beat the shit out of this person or sue them, I'm going to take the suing option. I trust me, I would love to fight any of these people. I've put out a call to action for anybody in the loser brigade that would like to step into a cage or step into a ring and have a charity fight. I'm more than willing to do that at any point, as long as it is mutual combat. But since it's not mutual combat, because we all know Richie Castaldo doesn't want that smoke, I have to use the only option that I have, and that option is you're going to answer for your sins here. And maybe at the end of the day, you're going to realize that you can't just go around doing those kinds of things without repercussions. And it's funny because the same people who want to chastise me over that are the same people who are like, freedom of speech means freedom of speech, not freedom from consequences. Exactly. You
Right.
have freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want, but don't expect me to not come after you for saying those things, right? And so that's where we're at. And hopefully these people can shut up once it's over. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's like you said, you should thank his lucky stars is not in Oakland, right? If you say that
Yeah.
shit, you say that shit in prison, you catch a sharpened toothbrush in the gut, man. Like,
Yeah, man, I'm from a place where you don't do things like that, man. I mean, these guys in Oakland, I'm from the Oakland area and lived in Oakland for a long time. You say something like these guys are saying about me, and you don't get found again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never heard of someone just throwing that accusation out there, just willy nilly with no fucking, you know,
Yeah.
with no
Oh yeah.
evidence. I mean, it's kind of it's mind blowing.
I agree, man. And they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And
You think
we
they're
were
gonna keep coming after you and Dave and Michael Heiss and Michael Malice after
until
the
someone puts a
lawsuit?
stop. Until someone puts a stop to it, yes. And so, if I get to take up that mantle and be the guy who puts a stop to it, I'll do it. And the cool thing is that, I have a big enough following. People are like, hey, let me throw some money at this, and I'm like, cool, man, because it's not cheap to file a lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
And so we've already raised like $420 towards this lawsuit. And it's like,
Nice.
that's totally cool. I have my own money and stuff too. And obviously I'll throw down what I can. But any help we can get, I'm basically picking up the sword and I'm going to war with these people who have been calling all of us Nazis for the last 4 years. And so, if you want to support that, please do, because I don't mind being that person.
Where can people go to donate?
We've just been using the PayPal. It's the paypal.me/Joshua Smith 20, Joshua Smith Chair 2020. It's old. I got to change the link, but that's the one we were using
on your Twitter page.
Yeah, you can find it on my Twitter page. It's actually on the website portion of my Twitter page, which is at Joshua at large is my Twitter. So,
yeah, this was I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was absolutely hilarious to use this as a recruiting opportunity for the Mises Caucus.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. The Mises Caucus monetizes the hate, right? So like every time one of these losers or nerds like mentions the Mises Caucus gets 500 more bucks. I mean, literally, it's that quick. And so really, they help the caucus, but when they go after personal people and hurt their personal lives, it's not helpful. So, but yeah, the caucus. I mean, their hate funds that caucus more than just about anything else, really. And so it's like, you guys can keep talking, but you're only, you're messing up your own ends here.
Do you think that Archie will ever come out with his case against the Mises Caucus?
I do not.
He's been talking about it for a long time. I'm excited.
Yeah, and here's the Archie case is sad. Archie,
I beg to differ. I find it hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's fun. Sure, it's funny, but for me personally, who knows Archie personally, who's actually met Archie in person and talked to Archie and hung out with him, he was such a really well balanced, like nice guy. And I don't know what happened with Dave and his debate, but he broke Archie. I mean, he literally broke Archie to the point of where it's like Archie has nothing else to do but NPC bullshit now, and it's just really sad because he's a very, like, Archie's always been like a very principled, like, ANCAP. I mean, really, and then that debate, he left the caucus, and then that debate happened with Nick or with Dave, and Archie's broken. Dave breaks these people. I mean, he really does. He broke, Andy Craig makes a post about him every day. Archie can't see anything that mentions Dave without commenting on it. I mean, Dave breaks these people, because Dave doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Dave's the most consistent motherfucker for a reason, because he doesn't give a shit what you think about him. He doesn't give a shit what you think about his show. He doesn't give a shit what you think about his ideology. He's going to say what he's going to say. He's the libertarian Tupac, and these people are like, no, you can't say that, and he's like, yeah, I can, fuck you, and it just breaks them. It breaks them to a point where they can't leave him alone anymore. I almost feel bad for the guy. Like, he's going to need a fence around his house if he keeps debating people at some point, but. He did break Senator Brakey from Maine, which is nice. And that guy, I mean, I think he really made Senator Brakey think more about the Libertarian Party and libertarianism, which is really cool.
He was a really nice guy. I listened to that debate.
Yeah, Brakey is actually he's not scheduled yet, but he's committed to coming on my show too. So that'll be fun. And I got some really great people lined up for the show: Mostre, Dave Smith, Michael Bolden, Senator Brakey, the redheaded libertarian. Some really, really cool people coming up. So
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And where else can the people find you?
Well, please subscribe to the YouTube and hit that alert bell. The YouTube is youtube.com/fight the despots, or you can just search Break the Cycle with Joshua Smith. That's the show. We're going live on the 24th. If I get these camera issues figured out, hopefully I don't have to delay it anymore, but the 24th. So on Wednesday evenings at 7:30 Central Time PM, I'll be doing solo podcast shows, live streamed, and then on Fridays at the same time, we'll be doing interview shows. So I'll have a guest every Friday. I may have cut like different various co-hosts throughout my solo shows too. I got a lot of people here in Iowa that would like to come and sit on the couch. It's a couch stream. I'm not doing like a desktop stream, so it actually looks pretty cool. Yeah, and so I think it's going to be a good show. And we got about, I don't know, pushing 800 subscribers on the YouTube, but with almost 14,000 followers on Twitter. I think it'll end up being a good show, and I wanted to put out a really good product. That's why I've delayed it so long.
Yeah, I get it, man.
With as many followers as I have on Twitter and had on Facebook and stuff, I didn't want to just like I said, just set up my laptop on a desk in front of me and start talking. I wanted it to look visually good. I wanted to have really good guests lined up. I wanted to put out good content so that people don't just laugh and not watch, So
yeah. All right, Cato, you got anything else for the future LP chair?
No, I do not. But what can people a little out of the loop, kind of like me, do to support you or the Mises Caucus or the takeover that's needed for the Libertarian Party?
Well, definitely go find the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus on Facebook. Find them in, find their website. Donate. Become a member of the caucus, because that caucus, not only do they help fund Mises-backed candidates, which is really cool. The dues goes to help delegates get to the national convention, organizations, stuff that will make the difference in the Libertarian Party. They're so important. And becoming a member is so important for the Mises Caucus, and they really are the fighting force for your ideals in the Libertarian Party. So support them at all costs. For me, the same PayPal link is going to be used for my chair campaign. Obviously, I'll be doing a lot of traveling here and there while raising 6 kids and putting on a really good show for people. So that's, if you wanted to help out there, that's great. But most importantly is join your state party and become a delegate to the national convention. The Libertarian Party belongs to those who show up, and so if you become a member and you show up to the national convention, you get to vote on the platforms, you get to vote on the bylaws of the party, how the party operates, you get to vote on party leadership. Come 2024, you'll get to vote on the presidential candidates for president and vice president. I mean, these are important things. And if you are one of the people who, like me in the past, think the Libertarian Party is a joke, change the fucking thing. You have that power. You just have to step up and do the work. And so join your state party, become a delegate, come vote for me for chair in 2022 in Reno, Nevada. And let's get this party to work, man.
All right, man. Well, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I really appreciate you guys. I look forward to you putting this out.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening. All right. Good night.